Hi, I'm Wayne Tuttle, and this is Chasing Legends. Welcome back to Chasing Legends. I'm Wayne Tuttle. I'm your host once again. Please hit subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Leave a comment if you want to leave a comment. Check out our website, legendofsuperstitionmountains.com. All kinds of goodies there. We'll get into it this week. It was kind of a busy week. We're doing this in the 11th hour because we were actually going to do this out in the Superstitions today. And I completely forgot. And after everything was broke down after some other filming for a different project, we started to walk away, and then I was like, I'm not going to make Trevor pull everything back out so we can just be out here. It was a beautiful day, but unrelated project, but we will be talking about that soon, probably in the lives on Fridays, and hopefully it'll be out there here in the next month or so. That being said and done, let's get to today's story for Monday. This was an individual approached me at this last rendezvous. His name is Doug. He had come up, he stopped by on Saturday. It was closer to the afternoon before we started cooking. And he came down to check out kind of what the rendezvous was about. He wanted to talk to me. I don't know if I always kind of feel it sounds weird to say someone's a fan, but he watches our channel. And he said he got interested a little because he was working out at Burns Ranch, Bob Ward's cabin in the area for the county parks, clearing and when they're putting the roads in and moving dirt and excavating and so forth. So he said he had some work out there. And he said he'd seen our videos of when they were working. He said he didn't notice us when we filmed. But he said, I saw the one of that, but the one of when you were at Burns Ranch and you found the coins. And he said that kind of made him think of like, all this stuff I'm moving around, I didn't know there could be stuff out there. I think those guys mostly think it's trash or something. And when I did talk to them a little out there at the time, they basically said they were stirring up some snakes and stuff like that occasionally, but nothing else unusual. And I wasn't going to tip them off because if I'm finding coins and they're digging the dirt up for me, why am I going to tell them what to look for? But he saw the video. So he said he started looking around, and he says it's really hard because from where you're sitting at in the piece of equipment, it's really kind of difficult in a front loader, a backhoe, or a grader to be able to looking down and see coins or a little glass jar. He says once in a while you'll see something, but that's not the forte of what they're doing. So he said, you're out there working, but I started keeping my eye out. And he said I'd come out and I'd park. And he said the other thing I started doing once we got the roads in, started getting the roads developed better, is I was bringing a metal detector into the day. I'd drive around, go over somewhere where nobody was around, and I'd metal detect where there was some piles, kind of I guess like the spoils piles of where they'd been through, just to see if anything comes up. And he said it was always trash, always trash, always trash. He said there wasn't really anything we came up with. He didn't remember if he had been I tried to show him where Bob Ward's cabin was about. He kind of was understood it, but he wasn't sure if he worked in that area. But he said he was working one section, and at first I thought I knew what he was talking about. I was mistaken on it. But he said they were kind of clearing some ground, and there was this built structure in the ground. And he was talking about it, and I thought what he ran into was what we called Hensley's Step, Don Hensley's Step. And it wasn't, or Ken Hensley's Step, or whatever his name was, but it wasn't his step. Now this was there, and someone thought we should have preserved it. No one thought about it, and it's long gone, probably broken up or dumped somewhere. But he said no, it was bricks, and he said it was an alignment of bricks. It was about 4 by 8 feet, and they were scraping something, and he hit it. And he thought it was interesting. He thought, man, this is a bunker or something. Someone's buried something in here. And he said it was, he started to very carefully lift some of the bricks, and he got out and checked it out. And he said there was nothing there. It was just like a patio of bricks. Like I said, 4 by 8 feet. He said they had been cemented together loosely, but he says it wasn't a real professional job, but he said it was just odd in the spot it was. So after he popped some of them up, realized there was nothing under there, he said he even had the imagination of thinking, oh my gosh, there's going to be a cellar here or a basement or something. He thought he found something really cool. So he started pulling them up, and he said they were probably 5-6 inches under the ground where he was kind of going through. And he started putting them aside, and then he just decided there's nothing really there. He kind of scraped over through it, pulled them all up, and there's nothing there, and he's not thinking about it much then, and he just started going on and continued on with his work. He said he looked at a couple of bricks. They just ordinary brick. He said there was just nothing about it. He's like, it was puzzling, because why did someone do a 4 by 8 foot patio of bricks? And it could have been someone had a trailer there at one time or something, some structure, and they just hauled out had a bunch of bricks, ended up with some bunch of bricks, and just laid them down to have a patio out there when they were out there working. So he continued on with his day. He said later he went to eat lunch, and he went out and he pulled over, and he's sitting there. And he's eating his lunch, and he's looking over at where the brick pile is, and something caught his eye. And he said it was very dull, but it was different. The color, the texture was different than the bricks. And so he said, I went out, decided to get up, walk over, pick it up, and kind of sort what it was. And he said, hold on a minute, and he left. And he took long enough, wherever he was parked there. I thought he just left, so I just started talking to someone else or something, and was just kind of like, okay, well, that was a kind of a cool story that'll never have an ending. And it was probably a half hour, so he walks back up. He goes, I'm sorry, I was talking to, somebody else and all. So finally he shows back up, and I'm like, oh man, I figured, somebody was talking to me, He said, I'm sorry, and he pulls out, he's wearing kind of like a jacket, and it was pretty freaking warm. But it was a light jacket. It was like one of those BDU type jacket things. And he reaches in the pocket and he pulls it aside now. And it's maybe this big, about that wide. And it just looks like a little box of some sort. And I can tell it's kind of silverish colored. It looks beaten to crap. And he hands it to me. And I took it, and he kind of looks around to make sure nobody's paying attention to us, because I think he just wanted to keep it. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, man, that's pretty cool. And then I take the lid, and it's a little stiff, but I open it up, and I look at it, and it starts playing. And I'm sure it was meant to be musical, but it sounds like birds chirping. It's like birds chirping. And I'm like, this is pretty cool. It's like a little bird box. I don't know what you call that, a musical box, but whatever. And I'm listening to it and all, and he says, that's what I found. I had him clean it up and fix it up. And I'm like, this has to be like pretty old. And he's like, yeah, it's pretty old. He says it's, there's a lot of silver inlay and stuff in it. And it's sort of plated like it was silver. And he said, but it's so damaged and beat up. But they were able to get the innards, replace a few parts, and they were able to get it working again. And I found it fascinating and interesting. So told him, can you mark about where it was? He says, yeah, I can mark about where that bricklayer was, but he says, I have no idea what it is. And I was really looking at it, and I turned it over, and there was some inscription, but it's almost illegible. I mean, you could see a letter, a T, and an A somewhere, but it's almost complete. I'm like, man, this is such a shame. And he said, yeah, because it probably had a name or something on it, hopefully, that you could have like understood, or a manufacturer. And he said, I tried to look the stuff up. He said, I had the guy who did the repairs on it, and he looked it up, and he said, it's old, possibly late 1800s or something like that. And I was like, man, that's pretty cool. And I said, I don't even know of anybody out there that would have been living out there. And he said, yeah, that's what it is. So I wanted to stay in touch with him. And of course, with everything at the rendezvous, we kind of never caught back up or anything else like that. But I thought it was like one of the most fascinating, interesting stories that, because of what we did and what we found, he kind of kept his eyes on the ground out there and just kind of looked over and found this thing. Who knows who it was related to? It was more southwest of Bob Ward's by about 100, 150 yards. I don't know of anyone in that area other than Bob Ward was in that area, Henry DeCook. But it was not near Ward's cabin, the staircase mine, any of that stuff. It was actually further out from DeCooks and out in that area, closer to the area that we did a little exploration in where some guys had worked. But it was off the road a bit. It was just kind of an odd and unusual spot. I looked at it. I don't know of anything I've ever been able to find. This is when you can miss Tom Collenborn, because Tom might have known someone that had camped or had been working in that area. I looked at some mining claims. I didn't come up with anything specific. The fact that there was this musical box in that area, or possibly under those bricks, we don't know if that's where it really came from. But that was odd, because it would be probably a family memento or something someone would have had, or something a woman or a lady or a little girl or someone would have had, even though it looked kind of fancy, so it was probably a woman's. But very interesting thing. I always wanted to thank Doug for sharing that. I wish it would have been something we could have introduced everybody and have him tell a story. We had Mike Cotter, we had Greg Davis, myself, a number of people talking, Tom Van. And I asked him, would you get up and talk for 10 or 15 minutes and show this to everybody? And he was like, I don't really want to. He says, I don't like getting up in front of people and stuff. I wish he would have, because it was kind of cool just looking at it and what it is. And hopefully, I was hoping that of the 150 people there, someone might put eyes on it and know what it was. To this day, I don't know if he showed anybody else. So anyone else who was at the rendezvous, big dude, kind of blondish, grayish hair, and probably about 6'2", 6'3", typical big construction boy. And yeah, if someone would have met him and he showed it to you, let me know. But he just kind of stopped in later once we were eating and stuff. I kind of lost track to him. The Forestry Service spoke. I looked around, didn't see him anymore, because I did want to get a picture of it. We're always dumbasses when we do this stuff, because we see something really cool. We think someone's going to be around. We get distracted. We're doing this. We're doing that. We're setting up for the guest speakers that night. Everything we're doing. And as we're kind of getting everything and it's kind of pulling together, we're kind of thinking, yeah, I want to talk. And he was one of the people I wanted to get a picture of it and say, hey, could I have a couple pictures of the front and the back, just so I could have the pictures of it, because it's very, very unique and neat. And I never saw him again. So I don't know where Doug is. If he still watches us, he can get a hold of me through the website. Let Trevor know. Trevor will get a hold of me. I'll give you a call. We can talk. I'd love to get some pictures of it and stuff like that. That would be a very cool thing. But other than that, that's what we have this week. We got a lot coming up. Treasure Hunt of the Year Awards, March 15th. We have Sunsets, the film, on Amazon Prime, if you want to go and watch that right now. And we got a couple other projects we're kind of putting in the boot and kind of working on right now that I think everybody's going to enjoy. A little something slightly different, but I think it's of a general interest and so forth, so we always try to do that. So again, Doug, hit us up, man, because I'd love to get a picture and do it would be great to do a Chasing Legends that is just follow-ups on other stories and things. But I did meet Doug. I did see the little musical bird box, whatever. I call it bird box because it chirped like birds, and I couldn't make a song. It just went. There was a song to it. I couldn't make it out, and it was really, it sounded like a dying bird, but because it wasn't working very well. But a very cool find. I would have probably given up the silver dollars for that, because that was so much cooler. Should have made him a trade. That would have actually been cool. But that's it. That's our story for this week. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I hope everybody's having a great weekend and they got through it. And we're into the following week. We're into February now. And March 15th, Treasure Hunt of the Year Awards. And then we're going to be on from there. We'll be getting through the summer and look into the rendezvous. We'll start talking about rendezvous dates and things coming up here shortly. But thank you for watching. We always appreciate everybody's patronage and everything, coming in, watching, picking up a shirt, a hat, coming out to the rendezvous, saying hello to us. That's such a cool thing that we kind of get that response, and everything's been doing really well. I hope everybody's enjoying this day in the Superstitions, because we put together 60 some odd ones for the month of February. It was a busy month for those. And I had to sit here and run through all those, and that was a difficult afternoon, because that's a lot of this day in the Superstition Mountains.
and just popping through them. So hope everybody's appreciating all the effort we're putting into all that stuff. I hope everybody's well. I hope everything's good. And the first last thing you should know is I'm Wayne Tuttle. You're not. And this was Chasing Legends.